The major talking point for today was the India squad selection for the 5-match T20I series against South Africa as well as for the one-off test against England. Although there were not many major surprises in the England test team selection, there were some debatable talking points about the India T20 selection for the South Africa series. 5 matches that will begin on June 9th. It was expected that most of the big players would be rested. Well, Virat Kohli, Rohit Sharma and Jasprit Bumrah have all been rested for this series. But there have been certain inclusions that have kind of once again raised this debate. Is IPL performance the key criteria for selection, or does international performance gain merit? In this video, I will explain to you the myths surrounding IPL selection as well as international selection. Now, there are 5 names that are major talking point in this selection. They are Avesh Khan, Rituraj Gaikwad, Ishan Kishan, and if I have to look at it, even Ravi Bishnoi, if I have to look at that sense, because they have not had the best of IPLs, yet they are in this 5-match T20I series against South Africa. Now, if I have to look at Avesh Khan, for Lucknow Super Giants, he's played 12 matches and given you 17 wickets, but his economy rate has been 8.5. So, when it comes to death bowling, Avesh Khan has been hit and miss barring 1 or 2 games. But I can understand the logic of the selectors as to why they want to keep Avesh Khan in the T20I squad. Why? Prior to the IPL, Avesh Khan played just 2 games, but both were in that series against West Indies and Sri Lanka. So, in order to enhance the talent pool, if I have to look at it, and to add depth, maybe they decided to persist with Avesh Khan. 17 wickets has not put him in the top 5 category when it comes to the most number of wickets in IPL 2022. But it is very important to note that with no Shami, no Bumrah, Bhuvneshwar will spearhead the attack and probably Avesh Khan might get a game or 2. So, they want to give Avesh Khan a longer rope. The other name that if I have to look at it is Ishan Kishan. He started the IPL very well with a couple of 50s, but then he endured a horror trough for about 6 to 7 games, wherein his technique was dissected totally, especially in the games against Chennai Super Kings. You have to look at it, bowled by an away swinger and feet stuck to the ground. But he made up ground later in the IPL. 14 matches, 418 runs at an average of 32, but with a strike rate of 120. It is not those highs of 2020 if I look at it, when he averaged close to 40, but had a strike rate in excess of 140 if I have to look at it. But you have to remember that Ishan Kishan had a good start to his international career if I have to look at it. Remember, he is the only one of the few select players to have scored a 50 on T20I and ODI debut if I have to look at it. And Ishan Kishan's record, if I have to look at it, in 3 ODIs it's 29, but he also scored 89 in the T20I match against Sri Lanka. That game he was nearing 100 and he showed what his aggression could be. Although it has not translated for Mumbai Indians in IPL 2022, Ishan Kishan might be one of the players who will see whether he can perform as an opener as well, because remember, there is a big drive even for your backup opening slot in the Indian team. So, persisting with Ishan makes sense if you have to look at it, because competing with Ishan, if I have to look at it, it is Rituraj Gaikwad. Remember, Rituraj Gaikwad is one of the few players in the Chennai Super Kings team, in fact the only batsman who has scored over 300 runs for the campaign. Chennai Super Kings are 9th and none of the other players. The closest who ever came to 300 runs was Shivam Dube. But Rituraj Gaikwad in 14 matches, 368, his average was 26.29. But that might be a question of form if I have to look at it. Against pace and against spin, Rituraj was unflustered. If you look at his knock of 99 that he made in the IPL against Sunrisers Hyderabad, he handled Umran Malik brilliantly. But you have to also look at his record when you have to look at the international games that he played against Sri Lanka and West Indies. He didn't get off to a good start, 39 runs in just 3 games. But for an opener in this 5-match T20I series against South Africa, you may have to bank on either Ishan or Rituraj. Rituraj, maybe a right-hander, might have to start below the pecking order, because if they want a left-right combination, maybe KL Rahul, who's the captain, and Ishan Kishan might open. That is why persisting with Rituraj, and you have to also remember, Rituraj also got injured. So, persisting with Rituraj at least for this series makes a little bit of sense. The other person who I want to bring into account is Ravi Bishnoi, also from the Lucknow Super Giants team. Just 12 wickets in 13 matches and an average of 34.2 and economy of 8.2. Bishnoi has often been criticized for bowling too quickly, and he's only relying on the googly for wickets. And even in those games that he played against the West Indies and Sri Lanka, in the 4 matches that he played, he took 4 wickets, had a decent beginning, but again, with only 3-4 players resting, Bishnoi actually finds himself further lower down the pecking order. Why? Because in the T20 squad that has been selected for South Africa, there is Yajuvendra Chahal, Kuldeep Yadav, Akshar Patel, as well as Ravi Bishnoi. So you have to understand one thing, that Bishnoi might not be a guaranteed starter, but to increase the talent pool, if you have to look at it, 5-match T20 series, you may not want to play with the same squad throughout the 5 games. As you know, after the England series, there are the limited overs in England, as well as Ireland, as well as Asia Cup, as well as West Indies, a series against Australia before the World T20. So there is plenty of T20Is that's going to come up. So having Bishnoi, testing him for this series against South Africa also makes sense. Now Venkatesh Iyer represents a big conundrum. You already have Rituraj. You already have, if you had to look, Ishan Kishan. Where does Venkatesh Iyer play? He didn't have a great season for Kolkata Knight Riders. Just 182 runs, strike rate 107.6 with just 150 if I would look at it. And he didn't even bowl that many overs. He didn't take any wickets. But I think in Venkatesh Iyer's case, what the selectors have done is continuity from the previous series that he has played, right from New Zealand to West Indies and South Africa and Sri Lanka, if you look at it. His numbers in international cricket are actually not that bad, if you look at it. 9 matches at an average of 33 with 5 wickets. Yes, he did struggle. Venkatesh Iyer did struggle in those 2 ODIs against South Africa that were played in Benoni. But you have to understand that Venkatesh Iyer can give you that depth when it comes to batting and bowling. Where can he fit in the Indian team? Perhaps as a finisher, very difficult. Maybe as an opener, but already there is KL Rahul, Ishan Kishan and Rituraj. Venkatesh Iyer has been persisted because of the talent depth that is there, and because of the continuity that he's been there for the series against South Africa, as well as for the series against the West Indies and in Sri Lanka. So primarily, if I have to look at it, these 5 have merited selection, although their IPL has been very poor. But it is very important to note that international cricket, Venkatesh Iyer at least deserves a bit more time because he's had a good record. He started off well in the T20 as you would look at it. So giving them a long rope, and potentially for the other 4 guys, yes, just give them a longer rope so that India's selectors and the public will know whether they are ready for the remainder of the 6 months, which is going to be very important for India. But if there are doubts about these players being persisted despite a poor IPL, the next list that I'm going to tell you has got no doubts, absolutely. In this list that I'm going to tell you, there are 3 names that have made it into the Indian T20 squad, and they deserve it purely on their performances in the IPL, if you have to look at it. The first name that I have to look at it is Arshdeep Singh. I would rather tell fans to not focus on this particular aspect of 13 matches, 10 wickets, economy rate of 7.82. Look at this one statistic that Arshdeep Singh has done. In the death overs from 16 to 20, which is unforgiving for any bowler, his economy rate is 5.75. Let that sink in, folks. 5.75 in the economy rates from over 16 to 20. It is simply staggering. Arshdeep Singh deserves a call-up primarily because he's been such a valuable asset for Punjab Kings, if I look at it. If people just look into the wickets column, they are missing the bigger picture. His primary role has been to nail those Yorkers, and that is why Arshdeep Singh might get a game or 2 if I look at it in the series against South Africa. If he does, we will come to know whether he is ready for international cricket, because let me tell you, in those 5 names that I had said earlier, they have at least had international experience. 2 games, 3 games. Venkatesh Iyer at least has had 9. Ishan Kishan has been part of several series that has been played at home and away. So Arshdeep will get a chance now. DK, what do I say about Dinesh Karthik, folks? I mean, perhaps unanimously, if I have to look at it, the one name that deserves a call up, and as well, not just for South Africa, probably for the ICC World T20, is Dinesh Karthik. 57.4 average at a strike rate of 191, folks. He is the ultimate proven finisher, and he comes back into the Indian team after a gap of 3 years. When was his last T20? It was the series against Australia before the ICC World Cup. What wrong did DK do? Actually, not much. If you have to look at it, ever since that Nidahas heroics when he hit 29 of 8 against Bangladesh, he almost got them over the line in a T20I against New Zealand. In Hamilton, he had hit 33 of which included 4 sixes, but a severe lapse of judgment from Krunal Pandya ensured that India lost the game by 4 runs, as well as they lost the series. DK actually did no wrong, and when he came back in the RCB camp, he has gone to a different level altogether. In fact, more than the top order and the bowling lineup, if there is one person who has single-handedly carried Royal Challengers Bangalore into the playoffs, it's been the exploits of DK. Every single time he comes to bat at the death overs, he has performed. So at this point in time, DK is not just an automatic selection for the India squad for the South Africa series. He is in that squad of 15 even for the ICC World T20 in Australia in 2022. I would hope that DK does perform well and he does get opportunity before, I may say, all the T20s that happened before the Australia World T20. On the other hand, this name also, there was expectation that Umran Malik might come into the picture. 13 matches, 21 wickets, easily Sunrisers Hyderabad's best bowler in IPL 2022. Remember, he took 4 wickets and he also has taken a 5-wicket haul. His pace, red hot pace, he's clocked 157 kilometers, folks. It is simply marvelous that Umran Malik is getting his due. This 5-match series will be the litmus test for Umran Malik. Will they play him? One hopes so. How international ready will Umran Malik be? We will come to know in this 5-match series. If he gets a game, good. Perhaps there's a suggestion from many people that he should get red ball cricket first. Maybe that might come. Maybe in the series against Bangladesh, after the one-off test against England, maybe he might get a chance. But Umran Malik truly deserves that call-up, if you have to look at it. The pace factor, I had said 157, and in every match he's clocking in excess of 150. It is a testament to his grit that Umran Malik has been not fast-tracked, but on sheer skill has made it to the squad. Thank you so much, folks, for listening to this video. Press the like, comment and share button. Subscribe to Sports Today and don't forget to press the bell icon. We are also there on Facebook. Thank you.